Smoke pours from an old military warehouse on Mare Island. The items stored inside this building are said to be worth tens of millions of dollars.
That came right from the mayor's office. This guy deceived me, misused me, lied to me.
Gavin Newsom hired this man to run Treasure Island. Now Tony Hall has been fired, and he says that the mayor pulled the strings.
Mediterranean fruit flies are discovered in a South Bay neighborhood. What residents need to know about the state's eradication efforts.
And we will explain how a proposed change in the federal tax law could cause a financial backlash for homeowners all around the Bay Area.
Now, complete Bay Area news coverage. This is the 10 o'clock news on KTVU Channel 2.
Good evening. I'm Leslie Griffith.
And I'm Dennis Richmond. And we have breaking news at this hour. Firefighters are responding to a 5-alarm fire at the old home-based warehouse store just behind the Oakland Coliseum. The fire crews have closed down Hagenberger Rd near that fire. Crews were just called to the scene about 20 minutes ago. We have news crews on the way, and we'll bring you more information as we receive it. And a fire that began 6 hours ago in a warehouse on Vallejo's Mare Island is still burning at this hour. And when all is said and done, it could become the most expensive fire in Vallejo's history. That's because the huge warehouse on the old Navy base contains more than 500,000 cases of wine, some of it old and rare vintages. KTVU's Ken Wayne is at Mare Island right now with a live report. Ken.
Dennis, we now have an injury at this fire. A Vallejo firefighter was taken away by ambulance just a few minutes ago. Over my shoulder, you can see firefighters are now starting to go inside the building for the first time tonight. 500,000 cases of wine, as many as 6 million bottles of wine stored inside this old Navy warehouse. Some of the bottles are 20 years old, worth thousands of dollars each. All told, there could be $50 to $100 million in losses here tonight. Firefighters say it's been difficult to put out this fire because of the danger to firefighters.
We have the possibility of something from the roof members or the ceiling members falling. We also have wine stacked on pallets, 56 cases per pallet, 3 pallets high. So we also have the chance of something like that falling on one of the firefighters.
I don't want to really put anybody in there.
The fire erupted around 3:20 this afternoon. The general manager of the wine storage company says she noticed something was wrong when wind suddenly began to blow through the 185,000 square foot building, and then the fire alarm went off.
At that point, the power went down. Walked a little ways away and saw this ball of orange in the back portion of the base where we have a wooden structure there, and just yelled at all the guys to get out of the building. We've got a fire.
Smoke blew from the roof and could be seen from miles away, slowing traffic on Highway 37 and Interstate 80. Firefighters held off on entering the building, instead pouring water from 100-foot tall ladders. 80 firefighters and 20 engines were called in, with fire crews from Napa, Benicia, Fairfield, and other surrounding towns. Firefighters say this old Navy warehouse once held a nuclear bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima, and the concrete walls will keep the flames from spreading.
It's contained to this building. There's no other buildings that are going to be affected. There's a little bit of smoke in the area that, people that have maybe respiratory problems or children or seniors should try to stay out of the smoke, stay indoors.
Wine Central Services says the warehouse was filled with wines from 95 different Napa Valley wineries. They're grateful no one was hurt in the blaze, but the dollar loss could be staggering, running into the tens of millions of dollars.
This isn't just a bottle. This is a long effort that they had to, put into making this and getting it ready to sell. And
so this is heartbreaking.
It's very heartbreaking.
Some of the runoff here is also wine, and Fish and Game has ordered that the storm drains here be closed so the runoff won't enter the bay and cause environmental problems. No word yet on the cause of the fire, but firefighters say so far they don't see anything suspicious. Back again live, you can see smoke is still coming from this building. The fire should be out sometime before morning, and again, damage could be anywhere from $50 to $100 million, making it by far the most expensive fire in Vallejo history. Live at Mare Island, Ken Wayne, KTVU Channel 2 News.
And we're getting live pictures now from the fire that has erupted at a warehouse in Oakland. It's the old white front building warehouse in Oakland. It also was a home-based warehouse store. It's just behind the Oakland Coliseum. A fire broke out just a little while ago. It went from 4 to 5 alarms just a little while ago. Police have shut down Hagenberger Rd. That's only about 2 blocks off the freeway. We don't know yet if the freeway, that's Highway 880 through Oakland, has been affected yet, but we will keep you informed. We have a crew that's on its way to that scene. Again, this is a 5-alarm fire that's breaking out just south of the Oakland Coliseum on Hagenberger Rd. It's an old warehouse that was there. At one time, it was a home-based warehouse. At one time, it was the old White Front store. We have crews on the way there. As soon as we get next to them, we'll give you a live report.
And it looks as if there are explosions occurring at this time. Another mothballed military base served as a backdrop for a high-profile firing at San Francisco City Hall. Tony Hall, the man in charge of development at Treasure Island, is now out of a job. Shortly after Hall was given the boot late today, his political nemesis, Mayor Gavin Newsom, told KTVU that he shouldn't have hired Hall in the first place. Roth has this report.
Tony Hall, to borrow a phrase, was voted off the island today, Treasure Island. After a 90-minute meeting behind closed doors, the 7-member Treasure Island Development Authority announced publicly, with Tony Hall looking on, that he was out as executive director, effective immediately.
The board has determined that it is in the best interest of Treasure Island residents, our project, and the city to release Tony Hall as the executive director.
Hall's supporters, most of them Treasure Island residents, reacted angrily.
Political hack! Political hack!
Hall, who earns $160,000 a year running Treasure Island, has been critical of Mayor Newsom, saying the mayor was cutting sweetheart deals with a developer who is also a major political donor. On the other side, the mayor's office fervently denies any sweetheart deals and says Hall had made the same developer an even more generous offer. Hall has also been called into question about improper financial management practices, although Hall has not been charged with any impropriety and today was terminated without cause. Hall says he was fired for being critical.
That came right from the mayor's office. This guy deceived me, misused me, lied to me, gave me full charge when I came out here to Treasure Island. And since that time, it's just made my life miserable.
Newsom says Hall's criticism had nothing to do with the dismissal and called the firing the right move.
The executive director was unable to work with various city agencies, and I'm responsible for the decision of putting him there, and I take responsibility for that. I made a mistake. With that being said, I've learned from my mistakes, and I'm honest about them, and good things are going to happen for the residents out there.
When Tony was appointed, it was with the hope and the expectation that he would work collaboratively with the board, with the Office of Base Reuse, with all the agencies within the city structure, and that simply hasn't occurred.
San Francisco loses on this one, folks.
Many Treasure Island residents say Hall has done more for them than any other city official.
Tony has been there for us.
As for Hall's departure, under the terms of his contract, he will receive $240,000 in severance along with an $85,000 a year pension that includes lifetime health benefits for him and his wife. So for now, the mayor says Treasure Island will be run by an interim director and that he expects to recommend a replacement for Tony Hall within the next few weeks. In San Francisco, Roth, KTVU, Channel 2 News.
Religion is becoming a focal point in the confirmation battle over Supreme Court nominee Harriet Miers. President Bush came to the defense of his nominee today as he met with the president of Poland. The president's conservative base has not been happy with Miers, saying that she has no judicial record that would indicate how she would vote, in particular on abortion. Mr. Bush today seemed to be reassuring conservatives that Harriet Miers is one of them.
They want to know Harriet Miers' background. They want to know as much as they possibly can before they form opinions. Part of Harriet Miers' life is her religion.
The focus on religion is a complete about-face from the nomination of Chief Justice John Roberts. In his case, the White House never mentioned it, and Roberts took pains to say in his confirmation hearings that his own religious beliefs would not play a role on the Supreme Court.
More and more of Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger's fellow Republicans are coming out against a ballot initiative the governor is pushing in next month's special election. It's Proposition 77, the measure that would change how political districts are drawn up. In theory, it would make elections more competitive, but as political editor Randy Shandobil reports, many Republicans fear competition right now.
Every 10 years, right after new census data is released, Republicans and Democrats in Sacramento get together and sculpt new election districts to reflect the new population numbers. But Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger says politicians manipulate the data to protect incumbents.
That the Republicans have coughed at the districts, the Democrats have coughed at the districts, and they got together in the back room and made a deal.
Schwarzenegger says it's a conspiracy to guarantee that Democrats hold all of their seats and Republicans hold all of theirs. Last November,
you saw what happened. 153 congressional and legislative seats were up for re-election. None of them changed party. You cannot unseat your politicians.
So to give challengers a chance and create more competitive districts, the governor is pushing Proposition 77. It would, in essence, wipe out the current districts and have retired judges, not politicians, drop new ones in time for next year's elections. Democrats call it a power grab.
We'll fight that and we will win because it is what they're doing is wrong.
Democrats say that Schwarzenegger, who was sky high in the polls when he introduced 77, thought Republicans would be able to win new seats in Sacramento and win seats in Congress under his plan.
If this had happened when Bush was extremely popular, if this had happened in 2001, the Republicans would have made gains in California.
But it's happening now when the president is extremely unpopular in California and Governor Schwarzenegger is less popular than ever too. So Democrats now predict the governor's redistricting plan may backfire.
There's no question there will be some very well-placed Congress members from California who are Republicans that could well lose their seats.
KTVU political analyst Bruce Kane.
This could add to the Republicans' woes nationally in a major way.
So the Republican Party's likely to fracture on this issue?
I can't imagine that anything that's happened in the last few weeks has done anything but make it more likely that the Republican Party will fracture over redistricting in the next few weeks.
In fact, you could see the cracks already. 2 Republican state senators told us they're ready to bolt, and 4 Republican congressmen and the Republican National Committee now all say they're urging a no vote on Prop 77. Political editor Randy Shandobil, KTVU Channel 2 News.
We have more pictures now from the 5-alarm fire that we told you about that is burning right now in the city of Oakland. The fire is burning at the old home base warehouse store. It's just behind the Oakland Coliseum in the 500 block of Hagenberger Rd. The building has been abandoned for several years now. It looks as if the fire has died down just a little bit from just 5 minutes ago when we showed it to you before, and it's too soon right now to say if there are any injuries. The first report of this fire came in about 20 minutes before 10 o'clock. It is still white smoke, meaning that fire is still hot. As you can see there, they're pouring as much water on it right now as they possibly can. Fire crews immediately sounded 4 alarms. They have since raised that to 5 alarms. They quickly closed down Hagenberger Rd near the scene of this fire. It's not clear what, if anything, is inside that warehouse. When we first saw it, it looked as if there were small explosions of something that was inside, and clearly it is burning very hot. As you can see, that white smoke billowing. Once again, this is the closed home base warehouse store. It is near the Oakland Coliseum, where a 5-alarm fire broke out about a half an hour ago, and I imagine there's some traffic problems that are related to this as well. Still ahead tonight, Lloyd LaCuesta with late word on the discovery of MedFlys in the South Bay.
A South Bay pest from the past is back, and now the efforts are underway to eradicate the Mediterranean fruit fly. We'll have a live report coming up.
And a protest in an unusual place targets the man in charge of Oakland Public Schools. A live report is coming up.
A little later tonight, we'll look at the newest iPod from Apple. This one is a video version. We'll tell you the price tag.
And Bob McKenzie gives us a sneak peek at the new DeYoung Museum. There are plenty of new as well as familiar exhibits. When the news continues, we'll show them to you. And we'll be back in 90 seconds.
We are still monitoring a massive fire burning in Oakland at this hour. That fire is burning at the old home-based building on Hagenberger Road. That's in the 500 block of Hagenberger Road, just south of the Oakland Coliseum. It's only a couple of blocks from 880 freeway. We don't know yet if that is affecting traffic, but there is huge clouds of billowing dark smoke still coming from that fire. On the phone with us right now, I believe we're going to have on the phone Oakland Fire Lieutenant Melinda Drayton. Melinda, Lieutenant Drayton, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Can you tell us anything more about this fire? Do we know what's inside? Do we know what's in burning?
At this point, it appears to be an empty warehouse which used to house home base on Hagenberger.
And what does that mean, Melinda, home base? It used to house home base.
Similar to a Home Depot structure.
That building has been abandoned for several years now, so can we assume that the building is empty? Because as Leslie noticed a little while ago, there appeared to be small explosions going on in the fire, but is that not the case?
Oh, we don't have any confirmation as to whether or not the building has anything in it at this point. We're fighting it exterior with ladder pipes as a defense.
What about 880? Is 880 affected there, right there?
Just in terms of traffic, we've got approximately 3 blocks on Hagenberger that's blocked right now. We've got OPD on scene.
I know it's too early.
From Coliseum up to Baldwin.
I know it's too early for you to determine a cause, but it went to 5 alarms very quickly. Is that because of the building's age and that it's mostly a wooden structure, or do we know yet?
At this point, it's not because it's a wooden structure. It was based on what the initial report was from the incident commander on scene. He saw a large warehouse partially involved, immediately called the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th alarm. It's now at a 5th alarm. We have units from Alameda County on scene, and we've ordered a mutual aid strike team.
Lieutenant, as you look at this fire, can you talk to us a little bit about your knowledge of fires and what this means? We see black billowing smoke, and then we see white smoke at the bottom. It is clearly a very hot burning fire. Would you talk to us about what you see?
Approximately 3/4 of the building is on fire. It runs approximately a block and a half on Hagenberger. We have 2 ladder pipes set up from above, putting water on the fire.
Lieutenant, on our scanners in our newsroom, we can hear other units talking about embers. We can see a lot of embers being blown around by that fire. Is there a concern that something else could be?
Yeah, I'm being dumped on by embers as we speak. They don't appear to be affecting any of the exposure buildings. No reports of injuries yet with any firefighters. We have one concern at 675 Hagenberger. That's the only commercial structure that's next to this building, so we're trying to make a quick stop on it where it is so it doesn't extend further east.
Okay, Lieutenant Melinda Drayton from the Oakland Fire Department. We appreciate your help very much. Again, we've got a crew on the way, so we will have more information as it becomes available. This fire is, as we told you before, it's now gone to 6 alarms according to the lieutenant. It is at the old home-based warehouse store just behind the Oakland Coliseum. That's right off of 880. They have closed down Hagenberger Road near that fire. Crews were called to the scene about 20 minutes ago. 6 alarms, and it looks like they don't have any control of it at this point. The discovery of a pair of Mediterranean fruit flies in San Jose is prompting immediate action from the State Agriculture Department. It plans to release millions of sterile fruit flies over a 10-square-mile area starting tomorrow. KTVU South Bay Bureau Chief Lloyd LaCuesta is in San Jose. He's got a live report for us. Lloyd.
Leslie, I'm at Ground Zero where a new South Bay fight has begun against the Mediterranean fruit fly, otherwise known as the Medfly. 2 unmated females were found in traps in 2 different backyard fruit trees in the Santa Teresa neighborhood this past week. Yesterday, agricultural workers were out spraying trees with a pesticide.
I was shocked. I didn't know that we had Medfly in our neighborhood until this notice.
Betty G's persimmon and orange trees were sprayed yesterday, the first of 3 treatments. The state has designated a 10-square-mile area in the areas of Blossom Hill and Santa Teresa Boulevards as infested. The flies were found in the neighborhoods near Chandler and Herma Avenues and Clydesdale and Dunn Avenues. Tomorrow, the state is scheduled to begin airily releasing some 2.5 million sterile male MedFlys every week to breathe them out of existence. The MedFly is considered a dangerous threat to the state's multi-billion-dollar agribusiness.
It infests all 200 or so kinds of fruits and vegetables grown in this state. You know, over 60% of the nation's fruit and vegetables come from California, so it's a big concern.
The last infestation in San Jose was in 1992 when an 81 square mile area was quarantined. Sterile MedFlies were used again in that effort. But it was in the early 80s when an all-out war was declared against the MedFly. All of Santa Clara County was quarantined, 450 square miles, and helicopters crisscrossed the valley spraying the pesticide malathion. This eradication effort cost $110 million. Oakland Mayor Jerry Brown was the governor at that time.
It brought down Jerry Brown because everyone, you know, when they sprayed by helicopter, it wrecked people's, you know, the veneer on their car, and they were just complaining. It was sort of like he introduced the MedFly. He got, you know, he had to take the rap for it.
The state stopped using malathion after a Los Angeles teenager went blind after being sprayed by the chemical.
It's not malathion anymore. It's called spinosad, a very benign organic chemical, and it really does the job. The flies really like the bait. They'll seek it out and they'll extinct themselves.
Officials believe this current infestation came from someone bringing in fruit from abroad with the MedFly. Now this area is being placed under quarantine.
Now that we've got an infestation, I think folks need to keep their homegrown produce at home. We can't afford to spread this out.
Agricultural officials estimate it will take a year before they can declare this neighborhood MedFly free. The advice is that before workers spray the fruit trees, pets should be kept inside, windows and doors closed, and wait 4 hours before entering treated areas. Live in San Jose, Lloyd LaCuesta, KTVU Channel 2 News.
More than 2 years after State Administrator Randolph Ward took over operation of the Oakland School District, many in the community are demanding that he be removed and control of the district be returned to the elected school board. There have been protests against Ward in the past, and there was another aimed at his authority tonight, but in a different location. KTVU's Julie Haener is standing by in Oakland with that report. Julie?
Dennis, instead of coming here to the office of the state administrator, protesters took their message straight to Dr. Randolph Ward's Oakland Hills home.
Get out, Ward! Equal quality education!
A normally quiet neighborhood nestled in the Oakland Hills turned into the scene of a noisy protest this evening as more than a dozen police officers stood by as a precaution.
Get out, Ward!
About 2 to 3 dozen Oakland Unified students and teachers demanded an end to the state takeover and called on the man in charge to step down.
We want Randolph Ward out. We want the right to have democracy and elections for a school board with actual power and accountability like any other school district.
Since taking over as state administrator, Ward has struggled to fix the problems plaguing the district's more than 100 schools. In an effort to balance the budget and erase a $6 million budget shortfall, Ward has closed schools and laid off hundreds of teachers, decisions that have drawn heated criticism.
We think that what Ward has been doing with all these cuts and school closures is increasing the unequal opportunities that our students face. He's cutting counselors, he's cutting art and music programs away from elementary students, he's cut the teachers' salaries. It's unacceptable.
But not everyone agrees. Tonight, this Oakland mother who says her 3 sons graduated from Skyline High School turned out in support of the embattled state administrator. Wandra Boyd says Ward is doing good things for Oakland schools.
He is improving academic achievement of students, and that's what we want. We want our children to be successful. We want them to be self-sufficient. He's providing that by saying you will educate all kids.
Dr. Ward was not at home during this evening's protest, but many of his neighbors were, and they had mixed feelings about the demonstration.
I don't think they should do it in front of the personal home. I think there's a place for them to go and protest and make their voices and opinions heard. And I think, as an example, it's the school board meetings and not in front of their house where family safety matters.
Now, part of tonight's demonstration focused on what the protesters say are Ward's efforts to cut art and music programs from Oakland schools. Ward declined our request for an interview, but his spokesman said art and music programs are not on the chopping block. In fact, he said a new program is being implemented this year to better align art and music into the curriculum at all schools. Reporting live in Oakland, Julie Haener, KTVU, Channel 2 News.
And so ahead on tonight's 10 o'clock news, I have an update on that big 5-alarm fire that's broken out in an Oakland warehouse. And a woman with family here in the Bay Area suddenly vanishes after visiting an Indian casino in the Sacramento area.
Sometimes it's not fair.
She said that life is just not fair, and we will also hear from her, from this family of a Vacaville soldier who was killed this week while fighting in Iraq.
To make it safer for the children and the neighbors, I think it's a good thing.
Later tonight, feedback on the effectiveness of cameras as a crime-fighting tool.
And it was sunny and warmer today. A little fog at the coast. We are heading for a bit of a warm-up and then some big changes. I'll talk about that coming up.